What if Amy's biggest moment in Heartland Season 20 doesn't begin with a wedding, a new ranch, or even a major family decision, but with a moment nobody can control? Amy going into labor could change everything in episode 1, because this time, the future of the Heartland family is about to arrive in the most emotional way possible. And if the trailer hints are pointing in the right direction, Amy's labor may not be as simple as everyone expects. There could be fear, unexpected complications, and one decision that completely changes the way Amy looks at her future. After everything she has survived, is Amy finally ready for the next chapter? Heartland has always been a story about family, love, loss, and finding the courage to move forward. But Season 20 could begin with something deeply personal for Amy. She is about to become a mother again, and this time, the emotions surrounding the birth are completely different from what she experienced before. Amy has already been through the fear and uncertainty that comes with bringing a child into the world. But life has changed dramatically since Lindy was born. Amy has changed too. She is no longer the same woman who was simply trying to survive one difficult day at a time. Now she is thinking about what kind of future she wants for herself, for Lindy, and for the family she is building. And that is exactly why Amy going into labor could become much more than a simple emotional storyline. Imagine the tension when Amy suddenly realizes that the moment has arrived. There is no time to prepare emotionally. There is no perfect moment. Everything she has been thinking about suddenly becomes real. Nathan is there, the family is alerted, and the peaceful feeling around Heartland quickly turns into uncertainty. Everyone wants to help Amy, but nobody can completely control what happens next. And for Amy, the biggest fear may not even be the pain. It may be the thought of losing control. Amy has spent years learning how to handle difficult situations. When horses are injured, she knows what to do. When her family needs her, she steps forward. When life takes something away from her, she finds a way to keep going. But childbirth is different. This is one moment where Amy cannot simply solve the problem by herself. She has to trust the people around her. And that could create one of the most emotional openings Heartland has ever had. Nathan, especially, could become extremely important during this moment. Their relationship has already reached a point where the future is becoming more serious. But Amy going into labor forces Nathan to understand something much deeper. This isn't simply about being Amy's partner. It is about becoming part of her family and accepting everything that comes with that responsibility. Nathan may want to stay calm, but inside, he could be terrified, because this isn't only Amy's baby. This is the future they have been talking about. And while Nathan tries to stay strong, Amy could begin thinking about everything that brought her to this moment. Her memories of Ty, her life at Heartland, Lindy growing up, and all the people she has lost along the way could suddenly come rushing back. That emotional connection to Ty is especially important, because even though Amy has learned to move forward, becoming a mother again could remind her of how much her life has changed. Ty will always be connected to Amy's journey, and nothing can erase that. When she holds her new baby, she may feel happiness and sadness at the same time. That is what makes Amy's story so powerful. She doesn't have to choose between remembering the past and loving the future. She can do both. But before Amy gets that moment, the family may have to deal with a serious problem. Because if the trailer is designed to create suspense, there is probably a reason the labor storyline feels more intense than a normal birth. Something could go wrong. Maybe Amy's labor begins earlier than expected. Maybe the family is not prepared. Maybe Nathan is forced to make a difficult decision while Amy is struggling. Or perhaps the biggest problem is simply that they cannot reach the hospital as quickly as they planned. Whatever happens, one thing is certain. Everyone at Heartland will suddenly be focused on Amy. Jack will want to protect his family. Lou will try to keep everyone calm. Lindy may not fully understand what is happening, but she will know that something important is taking place. And Nathan will have to stay strong even if he is frightened about what could happen next. That gives episode 1 a perfect emotional conflict. Amy is bringing new life into the world while the entire family is being forced to confront just how quickly life can change. And there is another reason this moment could be so important. Amy has been standing at the edge of a new chapter for a long time. Her relationship with Nathan has changed her idea of what the future could look like. The possibility of marriage has already raised questions about whether Amy will stay at Heartland forever or eventually create something new. But before she can make any huge decision about her future, she has to face the most important responsibility of all: her children. Lindy and the new baby become the center of Amy's world. And that could change the way she sees Nathan's plans too, because Nathan may want a new ranch. He may want to build a different life. He may believe that Amy is ready to move forward. But once Amy is holding her newborn baby, she may begin asking herself a much bigger question. What does home actually mean now? Is home the land where she grew up? Is it the memories she has protected for years? Or is home simply wherever the people she loves are together? That question could become one of the biggest themes of season 20. And if Amy really does go into labor in episode 1, the birth may be only the beginning. Because once the baby arrives, Amy's entire future could look different. The relationship with Nathan could become more serious. Lindy could take on a new role as a big sister. Jack and Lou could become even more protective of the growing family. And Heartland itself could begin changing around Amy. But before any of that happens, there is one moment everyone will be waiting for. The moment Amy finally holds her baby. And that is where season 20 could deliver its biggest emotional surprise. Because after everything Amy has experienced, this birth wouldn't simply represent another child entering the family. It would represent a woman finally realizing that her life is moving forward. But the question is, will everything go according to plan? Because the moment Amy goes into labor, the peaceful future everyone imagined could suddenly be thrown into uncertainty. And episode 1 may leave us wondering whether Amy and her baby are truly safe. The moment Amy finally gives birth could become one of the most emotional turning points in Heartland season 20. After all the fear, waiting, and uncertainty, there is finally a cry that changes everything. Amy has a baby in her arms, and suddenly the tension begins to disappear. But emotionally, this moment could be much more complicated than it first appears. Amy may look at her newborn and feel an overwhelming happiness, but at the same time, she could be thinking about how different her life is now. The last time Amy became a mother, Ty was beside her. Lindy's birth connected them in a way that nothing else could. But now, as Amy welcomes another child, Ty is no longer physically there to share this moment. That doesn't mean he is forgotten. In fact, his memory could become even more powerful. Amy may quietly realize that everything she has built since Ty's death has brought her to this exact point. She has raised Lindy, protected Heartland, supported her family, continued working with horses, and slowly allowed herself to love again. None of that erased Ty. It simply meant Amy learned how to live with the loss while continuing to live. And now she has another reason to keep moving forward. Her baby. But there is another person whose reaction could be just as important. Nathan. For Nathan, seeing Amy become a mother again could completely change the way he thinks about their future. Until now, their relationship has been about love, trust, and the possibility of building a life together. But once the baby arrives, those plans suddenly become real. This isn't just a relationship anymore. It's a family. And Nathan could begin to understand that being with Amy means accepting every part of her world. That includes Lindy, Heartland, Amy's memories of Ty, and the responsibilities that come with raising children. That could make Nathan even more determined to prove that he is ready. But there may still be one problem. Amy. Because while everyone around her may be celebrating, Amy could be quietly struggling with a question she hasn't been able to answer. Can she really start over? For years, Heartland has been Amy's safe place. It is connected to her childhood, her parents, her grandfather, her sister, and most importantly, Ty. Every corner of that ranch carries a memory. So when Nathan talks about creating a new life somewhere else, Amy may feel excited, but she could also feel guilty. Would leaving Heartland mean leaving part of Ty behind? Would Lindy feel connected to her father's memory if they moved away? And would Amy regret giving up the place where she has spent almost her entire life? These questions could become much more important after the baby arrives. Because now Amy isn't making decisions only for herself. She has 2 children to think about. And that could make the future much harder to choose. Nathan may believe that a fresh start is exactly what they need. He could imagine a new ranch where Amy can build something that belongs completely to them. No family debts, no old conflicts, no painful memories around every corner. But Amy may see things differently. She could believe that a new beginning doesn't necessarily require leaving Heartland. Maybe she can build a future with Nathan while still protecting the home she has always loved. And that creates a fascinating conflict. Nathan wants the future. Amy wants the future too. But Amy also wants to protect the past. The question is whether those two things can exist together. Meanwhile, Lindy could become one of the most important emotional pieces of this story. Becoming a big sister could change her relationship with Amy in unexpected ways. She may not fully understand everything happening around her, but she will understand one thing very clearly. There is a new baby in the family, and that could bring a completely different energy to Heartland. Lindy could become protective, curious, and even a little jealous. She has been the center of Amy's world for years, and suddenly she has to share that attention. That doesn't mean she won't love the baby, it simply means she has to adjust. And Amy will have to help her through that. This could give the season some of its most heartfelt family moments, because Heartland has always been strongest when it focuses on small emotional changes inside the family rather than only huge dramatic events. But while the family celebrates, there could still be another story developing in the background. Nathan's decision to build a new future could create tension with people who don't want him to move on so quickly. And Gracie's situation could make everything even more complicated. If Nathan has already been forced to deal with financial problems connected to his sister, then the birth of his child with Amy may push him to make even bigger decisions. He could realize that he cannot keep carrying the problems of the past forever. He has to choose what kind of man he wants to be, and perhaps more importantly, what kind of father he wants to become. That could lead Nathan toward one major decision. He may decide that his future with Amy is worth risking everything for. He could begin seriously searching for a new property, thinking about where their family could live and how they could create a ranch together. But Amy may not immediately agree. And this is where the suspense could grow, because viewers may expect Amy to simply say yes to Nathan's plans after the baby arrives. But Heartland rarely makes things that easy. Amy has spent too many years connected to this land to walk away without thinking carefully. She has responsibilities to her family, her horses, and the legacy that has been passed down through generations. Jack could also have strong feelings about Amy leaving. He may understand that Amy needs to make her own choices, but that doesn't mean it won't hurt. Lou could be caught somewhere in the middle as well. She may support Amy completely, while secretly wondering what the family will look like if Amy starts a new life somewhere else. And then there is the biggest emotional question of all. What does this new baby mean for Heartland? It could mean the beginning of a new generation. A generation that knows the ranch not only through stories about the past, but through their own memories. The baby could grow up knowing about Ty, knowing about the horses, knowing about the family members who came before. And that means Amy doesn't necessarily have to stay exactly where she is to protect her family's legacy. She can carry that legacy with her. That realization could be what finally changes everything. Because Amy may slowly understand that moving forward isn't betrayal. It is life. Ty's story will always be part of hers, but it doesn't have to control what happens next. Nathan can love her without replacing Ty. Her new baby can bring happiness without erasing her memories. And Heartland can remain part of her identity even if she eventually builds another home. That is why Amy's labor could be more than just a dramatic opening for season 20. It could be the emotional doorway into an entirely new chapter. But just when Amy thinks the hardest part is over, another question could begin to surface. What happens next? Because having the baby is only the beginning. Now Amy and Nathan have to decide where their family goes from here. And if Nathan is serious about creating a new ranch, the biggest decision of Amy's life may still be waiting for her. The arrival of Amy's baby could mark the beginning of a completely different chapter for the Heartland family. After everything Amy has been through, this moment could finally give her something she has been searching for since Ty's death, the feeling that life can still surprise her in a good way. But the biggest question isn't whether Amy will love her new baby. Of course she will. The real question is what this new chapter will mean for the future she has been building with Nathan. Nathan could see the birth as a sign that it is time to stop waiting. He has already talked about creating a future with Amy, and now that their family is growing, he may feel more determined than ever to make that future real. He could begin looking at properties, thinking about a new ranch, and imagining a home where Amy, Lindy, and the new baby can all feel like they belong. But Amy may need more time. She has never been someone who makes huge decisions simply because other people expect her to. Heartland is deeply connected to who she is, and leaving would never be an easy choice. Even if she loves Nathan, even if she wants to marry him, and even if she wants a fresh start, there will always be a part of her that belongs to Heartland. And that is what makes this storyline so emotional. Amy doesn't have to choose between her past and her future. She can carry both. Ty will always be part of her life. Lindy will always connect her to him. And now, her new baby becomes another part of a family story that has continued through loss, change, and new beginnings. Nathan's role could also become much more important after the birth. He isn't just Amy's partner anymore. He is becoming someone her children will depend on. That means he has to prove that he can handle the responsibility, not just the romance. And I think that is exactly what Season 20 could be testing. Can Nathan become the man Amy truly needs? Can Amy trust herself enough to let someone else help carry the weight? And can the two of them build something new without destroying everything that came before? Those questions could continue throughout the season. Meanwhile, the rest of the family will have to adjust to the changes. Lindy becoming a big sister could bring some sweet but emotional moments. Jack could become even more protective. Lou could help Amy understand that starting a new chapter doesn't mean abandoning the old one. And eventually, Amy may realize something important. Home isn't only a piece of land. Home is the people who make you feel safe. That realization could completely change how she looks at Nathan's proposal and his dream of building a new ranch. Maybe she doesn't have to leave Heartland forever. Maybe she can create a second home, a place where her children can grow up while still knowing where their family came from. And that possibility could become one of the most interesting parts of Season 20. But before we get too far ahead, there is still one thing we have to remember. The trailer title says, Amy goes into labor. That means Episode 1 could be starting with an event that immediately raises the emotional stakes for the entire season. Amy isn't simply giving birth to a baby, she is giving birth to a new future. And that future could eventually change everything. If the season follows this direction, Amy and Nathan may become closer than ever after the baby's arrival. Their relationship could move toward marriage, while the question of where they will live continues to create tension. And that could eventually bring us to the wedding everyone has been waiting for. But I don't think the show needs to rush it. Heartland works best when major moments feel earned.